John Jones versus Stipe Miocic is a fight that has the entire fighting community outraged in a way that I had never seen since I had started following MMA in 2011. And it's something that I frankly don't understand. Wasn't Michael Bisping versus GSP done around the same time that Robert Whittaker was the interim champion? I don't necessarily recall anybody giving Michael Bisping any issues about that. And I don't think anyone also gave GSP any issues regarding not fighting Robert Whittaker to unify the belt subsequently. So I don't understand why this whole issue is. It's MMA fighters are bred in a very different way than 99% of the other population that are not MMA fighters. To call a guy like John Jones that has been fighting in the UFC since he was about 20 years old and won the light heavyweight championship, which was the premier division at that time, a coward like the entire MMA community is doing right now, is, in my opinion, just wrong and ludicrous. John Jones is the greatest fighter of all time, and I will continue saying it. He has earned his ability to call his shots. He has earned that. Tom Aspinall has unfinished business with Curtis Blades. He really does. Just like John Jones has unfinished business with Stipe. They had been trying to make that fight for years now. I don't understand what the problem is. I don't understand what the problem is. Tom is very young. He has a lot of years ahead of him, and he can fight John Jones subsequently. So I really don't understand what the problem is. Get your fight with Curtis, take care of that, and then you fight John Jones if John Jones beats Stipe. What's the problem? I don't really understand the problem here. The only reason that Tom even got the opportunity in the first place is because John got hurt. And they didn't put Stipe versus Pavlovich because Dana had promised John the fight with Stipe. So had Stipe lost against Pavlovich, then we would be talking about John versus Pavlovich, not even John versus Aspinall right now. Aspinall was even lucky to get the interim shot at that time. I'll continue saying it. He was lucky to get that fight in the first place. He was coming off one win against Marcin Tybura. And this whole outrage that the entire MMA community feels, in my opinion, is unfounded. You know, John Jones has done so much more than Tom at this point. It's really night and day. You can't even compare him. You know. So John Jones came out on Twitter and said some math for everyone. Curtis 0 plus Tom 0 championship belts equals 0. John 14 plus Stipe 6 championship belts equals 20. To be fair to Curtis and Tom, I didn't count my interim title win either. LOL. But yeah, sure, you guys are fighting for the real belt. Hashtag facts. And John really does have a strong point here. I'm not going to be as critical of Curtis and Tom as John is, because to be fair, I do think Curtis has some championship level fights in there, like beating Overeem, which Stipe beating JDS as well, which Stipe beating Volkov, Rosenstruck. Curtis has been fighting the top guys for a while now. And Tom has some solid wins himself, Volkov, Pavlovich. So I'm not going to sit here and say that, what John just did to say that they have 0 championship bouts. I will count Tom's interim championship win. But John and Stipe have, like he said, 20 championship belts. They've done a lot more for the sport. This is a fight that had been years in the making. This is a fight that John got injured and had already been made. John had been preparing for Stipe for how many training camps now, as has Stipe. Stipe made weight. He flew all the way to New York, Madison Square Garden, to have this fight. He did nothing wrong. Now we're going to take this opportunity away from Stipe. The guy's going to be 42 years old. John's going to be 37 by the time they fight. Stipe's not going to have a lot more time to get this chance, get this opportunity. Tom has a lot more time on the clock. He can wait it out, or again, he can fight Curtis like he's doing, and then fight the winner 2025. You know, it's unfortunate that this is going on. It is, but it's nobody's fault that John got hurt. It's not John's fault. It's not Stipe's fault. So, you know, Tom has to either wait or fight. And if he fights, he will likely lose. It's the sport is very unforgiving, and to go the amount of years without losing, like John Jones has done, it's really unprecedented. Right now, Tom has to fight Curtis Blades, and that fight is not a given. He can lose that fight, and he said it on an interview. Curtis can land a shot, and I can wake up unconscious, essentially, from unconsciousness. So it's not an easy position to do. And what John Jones has done in the sport is really remarkable. And I definitely feel like the MMA community is not valuing what he's done, and they're taking it for granted and calling him a coward, which is just not true. It's just not true. Stipe Miocic is not a coward either. He fought Francis Ngannou 2 times, asked to fight him a third time. You know, it's these guys are not scared. These guys are not scared, and a lot of people have been giving Stipe Miocic a lot of crap for not fighting for these many years and whatnot. 2021, after he got KO'd, like it was obvious that he was not going to be able to fight for that year. 2022, he expressed he had some personal issues that he just couldn't fight. Basically, his father died, and that was a big issue. Obviously, that he was going through some stuff and he couldn't fight. 2023, he was ready to go. He wanted to fight John on March, and the UFC instead made Jones versus Gane. Then Stipe said, let's fight in July. John was the one that pushed it back to November, and then John pushed it back again due to his injury, which that one wasn't his fault. But can't blame Stipe. Really can't blame Stipe. So to blame Stipe in this situation is ludicrous. And to blame John, in my opinion, is as well. This fight should happen typically in the UFC when two guys want to fight. The UFC allows them to fight. Dana wants to see this fight, and that's it. That's it. And that's without even counting all of the accolades and the things that these guys have done, and without even counting the fact that this fight had already been made. And the guys did the training camp. They made weight. They flew there. I mean, Stipe flew there. All of these things need to be taken into consideration. It's not just, oh, what about Tom? Well, I'm sorry, Tom. You're getting the short end of the stick here. That's the reality. And you might lose to Curtis Blades and never get the opportunity to fight for the undisputed. But that's just what it is right now, sir. Like and subscribe.